Hello, thank you so much for joining me today for our co-creation together. I am feeling very, very called to talk about healing. And if you watched yesterday's video, then you'll understand that the dynamic of what I am going to be doing moving forward is changing. I'm not really sure what it looks like yet, but I'm just kind of going with the flow. And yesterday, I was still going through an upgrade that I've been dealing with since I probably Monday, this Monday, and in these higher frequencies, as we are heading into the equinox, we're all going to be feeling it. So after yesterday's video, I heard from a few of you who were mentioning to me that you had were dealing with nausea or vomiting and stomach issues and diarrhea. And so I just want to let you know that that is all part of these really intense, significant upgrades that every one of us is going through. Some of us may have diarrhea, may have vomiting, may have nausea, or may not, right? It depends on where we are within the process of our own work that we're doing. And for all intents and purposes, everybody is on one collective timeline together that is moving through the Ascension Gateway. And then we are all on our own individual timelines, experiencing our own individuality, which sometimes looks extremely different from the person next to you. It just does. You might have a friend who's in alignment with what you're in alignment with, and the two of you vibe all the time, but they may be experiencing something different in their reality with concerns to how the upgrades are affecting them, because they may have different variations in their life that are triggering different aspects within them that are going through the upgrade and receiving a rebalancing, a healing, a restoration, a transformation, a rebirthing. So for me, it was a week of not feeling quite 100% myself. I know I have a little bit more to go because my shift is really coming on the 18th and then through the gateway of the equinox, because this one is so incredibly powerful. But I'm just going through it. I'm just gliding through it, right? So let's talk about what healing looks like and what healing doesn't look like. Okay, healing does not look like deep diving, digging, pushing, searching, right? That's not healing work. When we're doing that, we're in resistance to what is. And I know that there are so many people out there that are teaching so many different things. And, really for each one of you, you have to make a decision what feels right for you. My work might feel most highly aligned, and for some, it might not feel highly aligned. Those that are still in resistance, that are needing to do an extra process or an extra excavation into the depths of their soul, or they are insisting on having a dark night of the soul, right? I hear that all the time. Well, I haven't had my dark night of the soul yet. Well, you might not have to have one, right? You might not have to have one, not in the way that you think you have to have a dark night of the soul, or in the way somebody else had a dark night of the soul. We are all going to be unique and very individual in the way that we're going through these upgrades, okay? And so when we're pushing and we're pulling and we're tugging and we are trying to discover, trying to fight our way through to illumination, that's resistance all the way. And you're fighting against the current, and nothing is going to be revealed for you. Nothing is going to be exposed. It just is, because that's complete resistance. Okay. Now, let me show you what it can look like when you let go. And you don't have to have all the answers right away, because your universe will bring them to you, but it's got to be in the right timing. And maybe in that moment, it's not the right timing for you to be a receiver of what you need to know, or what you need to activate within you. Okay, because everything is an activation, a stream of consciousness. So the past couple of days, every time either I'm tuning to a message in my phone, or even like just in general, I could, be out walking, and I'm hearing the song Gypsy by Fleetwood Mac. Now, I liked Fleetwood Mac back in the day, but there was nothing specific about that song that was like, oh my God, that's my song, right? It was not that. And so I kept saying, why is this song constantly popping up? Like, I don't understand. And the more I kept thinking that, the more frustrated I was getting. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. The work, Maria, the work, just sit in the work. Okay. And I let go, and I was like, all right, well, something is wanting to be revealed, and I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to put my catcher's mitt on. I'm going to get comfy. I'm going to grab a cup of tea and just chill and just let it come. I'm not even waiting for it. I'm just going to let it come. In the meantime, I'm going to, I'm going to paint something. I'm going to read one of my art books to brush up on something that I need to understand for oil painting. I'm going to play with my cats. I'm going to do something that's taking me out of that. Go for a walk, go for a hike, something. Okay. Have a session with somebody, teach one of my classes, right? Something else. I'm going to focus on that. I'm not focusing on the song or what it means or anything like that. And so this was going on for like 2 or 3 days while I've been going through these upgrades. And so this morning, as I was waking up, I love when I'm in that lucid state. My body is very fluid. It's very flowy. I feel like I could just stretch out and just be among the stars, because my field is like, just flowing, and I don't feel like I'm in my body. And so all of a sudden, this piece of information came floating in, and it was a memory of when I was in college. I went to Farmingdale here on Long Island. I think it might have been 81. And I was in my first year of college, and I was in one of the, student lounges, Roosevelt, I think that's what it was called. I'm not even sure. And the big thing back then was the song Gypsy, or one of the songs, right? Because there were many. I mean, Hall and Oates were big back then too. And so in some way, that song just came floating back into my awareness. And I was like, oh, this is very interesting. What is taking place with this? And the next thing I know, I have this memory pop up. It happened so fast. All of it happened so fast. It unfolded very, very quickly. I had this memory pop up of my mom being in the hospital at that time with surgery for a hysterectomy, and then finding out while she was in the hospital that they actually thought she had cancer. So they weren't sure when they were going in what they were going to find. And I was like, wow, I had completely forgotten that. I mean, we're talking like 40 years ago, completely forgetting that had even occurred, that my mother had been in the hospital. And I was just like blown away by that for just a second. And I thought to myself, yeah, I bet I never processed through those emotions. My father wasn't the type of person I was going to do that work with. My brother was younger than me by 3 years, so I wasn't going to do that work with him. Other family members weren't available for that kind of work. And I didn't know anybody that was, spiritually aligned back then that, would be able to help me with that. And so it made me aware that I never processed through the emotions from that time. And I thought, wow, how profound. And what was happening was, each time that song would come up over the last couple of days, I would feel this pull right from my solar plexus, like this pull, this sadness, this real sadness, this real grief. And it would pull right from my solar plexus, and I'd be like, whoa, that's so powerful. Like, what is that? What is that? And of course, now I know that was, me feeling powerless over the fact that my mom was in the hospital and there was nothing I could do to help her, right? And there was nothing I could really do to process through it. And then when she came out of the hospital, it wasn't really spoken about. It was almost like swept under the rug. So I never got to process it. And I thought, I wonder if that was part of my connection with cervical cancer, and then the issue that I had with the Bartholin cyst. And then I remembered, oh yes, I forgot. She also had a Bartholin cyst in her later years. And I thought, interesting how my mom and I are imprinted together, and how my body processed through some of that too as part of our soul group experience. Because when you incarnate, you're part of a soul group, and that soul group is going to experience something, right? Some people experience cancer, was part of mine. My mother got to experience a little bit about that, but not so significantly. But I took it to the next level because it kind of factored into what I'm here to do with healing the patriarchal abuse of power and liberating the divine feminine within everyone, mostly with women, but within everyone, men too, because men's divine feminine has been repressed for years and years and years and years. Yeah. And so, so that's what happened this morning. And I thought to myself, wow, that's amazing, amazing, amazing. I can't thank myself enough for getting out of the way, right? Because we have to get out of the way and let it come through. And so you would say, hey, Maria, what did you do next? How did you work with the energy? How did you heal it? Well, I didn't have to, because the awareness that I held to it was enough to heal whatever it was that I was carrying in my body. And then I said, well, let's just see. I want to do a breath check and just see that that is my truth right now. So I found the song Gypsy by Fleetwood Mac on YouTube, and I put it on, and I felt nothing. It flatlined for me. I felt nothing. There was no emotional tug, no emotional pull. That timeline, that unhealed trauma, that unhealed emotion completely healed, completely. Okay. And I have to tell you, this is really what I believe, and it's not even 100% in its power yet, but this is what I believe is going to be the work that I'm here to bring through next. And I don't really know fully what it's going to look like, but I feel it's going to be something along the lines of this, and maybe more. And so that's how we're healing. That's how we do healing. We're not doing the deep dive. If you're deep diving, you're staying stuck. You're keeping yourself in resistance. You're stopping yourself from allowing the letting go part of the process, because there's really nothing to do at this point except to just be present, right? And I had a client session today, and in the session, we talked about goals. And I said, well, what is the struggle that you're having with goals? And they said, well, every time I set goals, I feel tremendous anxiety towards setting goals, and I never get anything accomplished. And I said, of course you don't. You're not going to. You're not going to, because goals don't reside in the present moment. Goals are in the future. And you cannot be present and in the future at the same time. You just cannot. So you have to make a choice. You have to make a choice to be present, or you have to make a choice to be in the future. I suggest you make the choice to be present. And then they said, well, what do I do about the goals? And I said, well, that's pretty easy for me, because you're here to Do what makes you happy. Do what is most pleasing to you. So if you have something on your goals list that is not pleasing to you, it's because you fear it. And you are procrastinating it because procrastination is fear. And when you are in fear, you are in resistance to what is. So it all comes back to resistance. Do you see? So this is how we are working with healing now. We have to get out of our own way so that the healing can take place and we can allow ourselves to move into a higher state of being. So I trust that you'll find something of value here today. And I wish you a wonderful whatever it is that you're doing. Thank you so much for connecting with me again. And for those of you that are going to stick around for this next chapter in our journey together, I'm super excited for it. Again, I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it build. And I felt this. I felt called. I did 3 sessions today. And then I ran to the farm stand to get some veggies to make dinner tonight. And while I was preparing dinner, I kind of heard and ran through this video in my mind, my field, my heart. And I was like, yeah, let me jump on before I have to go out there and tend to the food that I am in the process of preparing. And I just wanted to leave this with you so that you could have this information and maybe it would help support you through your journey of healing. And so I'm going to leave this right here. Drop me a comment below. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know what you're struggling with. Okay, maybe at some point I can do a video and we can suss that out together here. Know that I love you so very much, very, very much, very much. And I am in deep appreciation that you are connecting with me again today. I love you. I will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.